Okay, we're now in chapter 2, which is mostly solving equations. Some of you are familiar with this. Some of it was in your review packet for chapter 1, but we didn't go through it. Now we're going to be able to. So the first section in chapter 2 is taking equations and solving them with one step. So you're going to do one thing and then you've solved for your equation, and maybe 2 steps today. So sometimes we have verbal expressions that we can translate it into algebraic equations, because nobody in life is just going to hand you an equation and tell you to solve it. Usually the equation comes from some type of real world problem, and that's why you're given that equation. So if I were to translate this into a verbal expression, I'd say a number, because I don't know what that is, increased or added, okay, by 4 is equal to 7. It says, what number would x have to be in order to be added to 4 to equal 7? So what number increased by 4 gives you 7? 3. It says this was easy using mental math. Unfortunately, equations are going to get more complicated. We have to learn other methods. So it's easy to think, oh, what plus 4 gives you 7? But as it gets more complicated, you need to create equations so you're able to solve. So it says solve the equation x plus 7 equals 9. How would I isolate or solve for x? Well, first, for this equation, we need to get rid of what to get x by itself? We need to get rid of 7. We have to undo addition by using, what's its inverse? How do you invert adding 7? By using subtraction. Okay. It says, but since this is an equation and both sides are equal, we must do to one side, we have to do to the other. Is this true? Plug back in and check. So we remove 7 from one side, then we have to remove it from the other to keep it equal. So x, these will cancel or turn into a 0, is going to equal 2. And says, is it true? Plug back in to check. So we're going to substitute back into where x was. And is this true? Yes, it is. It says this was possible using the subtraction property of equality. It says for all real numbers, a, b, and c, if a equals b and a minus c equals b minus c, then subtracting equal amounts from each side of the equation results in equivalent equations. So if you look at this first one, we're just going to do the same thing again, using that subtraction property. How do I get a by itself? We're going to have to remove 8. So a equals negative 6. Here, how do I get m by itself? We have to remove a positive 6.2. So I'm going to remove 6.2. And we're going to get 4.5. Beauty of math is you can check your work. You can substitute these back in and check. Your homework is only 8 problems, so I would. Then, for n, we have to remove 1/2. And n is going to equal 11. The end. It says, let's try it. Okay, so now these ones seem to be multi-step, but sorry, should probably fill out these notes first, huh? All right, so we're still in one-step equations. It says a school band needs new uniforms. So far, they've raised $2,344.10 towards a goal of $5,000. Write and solve an equation to find how much more money the band must raise. It says, number 1, underline important information. So a school board needs uniforms, okay? They have raised this much towards a goal of $5,000. It says write and solve an equation. So you want the goal to be $5,000. So how do you get to 5,000? Your $2,344.10 amount plus some unknown amount is going to give you 5,000. To solve it, we need to remove the 2,344. Now, some of you would go, I just do mental math, but you need to get used to setting up equations so that you can solve when they get to be harder. In your calculator, you're going to put 5,000 minus 2,34410 And you're gonna get, you need $2,655.90. It says, we use subtraction for the past two equations. Subtraction is the inverse of addition. It undoes addition. We might need to use other methods to solve equations. So what's the inverse of subtraction? Addition. What's the inverse of multiplication? Division. Well, then how would you undo division? Multiplication. The next step is saying, now we're going to have maybe one more step. Instead of adding or subtracting, we might have to add or subtract and multiply and divide. So, for example, 3, it says solve for x. I have 10 times x plus 3 equals 33. It says, what is the question we ask ourselves? How do I isolate the variable? How do I get x alone? Well, x has to have 10 being removed and 3 being removed. Which one do we get rid of first, 10 or 3? Well, if we're solving, we're working backwards. So the addition and subtraction would come first, and then this multiplication. Or if it's too confusing, just say to yourself, what's the furthest thing away from x? Well, that 3. That needs to go, and then the 10 needs to go. So it says we need to get rid of 10 and 3. Which one comes first? The 3. We use PEMDAS all over again, except when solving for equations, we work backwards. So this time, the addition subtraction is going to come first when we're moving, and then the multiplication division. So let's try it. All right, let's remove 3 first. Since this is addition, we're going to use subtraction, and we have 10x equals 30. Then, how do I remove multiplying 10? Divide both sides by 10. This is going to turn into a 1x, or just x, and then 30 divided by 10 is 3. It says try these 3 examples on your own. So I want you to pause the video, and I want you to try it and come back. We remove the 31 by subtraction. We remove multiplying by 15 by dividing it. Here we have to get rid of the 18 and the 7. It's a positive 18, so I'm going to subtract it. And I remove 18 from both sides. 7t is left by itself, which is going to equal 56, and then that 7 needs to be removed by division, the end. Here, I have a 10 I need to remove and a 2 I need to remove. So removing the 10 by subtraction, and I'm going kind of fast because I've assumed you've paused the video and tried it on your own. Remove 10, you're left with 2p, and now negative 45, because negatives and negatives go together. And then when you divide by 45, well, you know half of 40 is 20, and then half of 5 is 2.5, so it's going to be negative 22.5. All right, next one. It says try these 3 examples on your own. Well, it's a little bit different. Oh, oops, we didn't do this example. That might make more sense. So we had to subtract and divide. Now we're going to add and multiply. So here, how do we get m by itself? We need to get rid of this negative 5 and negative 3. Negative 3 is the furthest away. So to remove subtraction, I'm going to add. You rewrite the equation. This is going to cancel. This is going to turn into a 0.5 or 1/2. And then I'm dividing by negative 5, so I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 5. These will turn into a 1, and you're going to get m is equal to negative 5/2, or negative 2.5 the n. All right, now I'm going to try these examples. I want you to pause the video and then come back. We're going to add 14 to both sides, so we're left with x over 3 equals 19. And then we're going to multiply both sides by 3. X is going to equal 3 times 9 is 27, carry the 2, it's going to equal 57. This is the exact same problem. I think I copied and pasted it and didn't change it, but it's just a little bit different. You should get the same answer. Multiply both sides by 3. x equals 57, or 57 equals x. Either way you want to write it. Here, add 3 to both sides. Multiply both sides by -4. So, 12, carry the 1, -4. Well, don't even, just kind of ignore the negative for now if it's tripping you up. So 4 times 3 is 12, carry the 1, 4 times 1 is 1, 52. A long-distance phone company charges $4.99 per month plus 10 cents per minute. $4.99 per month and 10 cents per minute. Write and solve along an equation to determine how many minutes were used in a month if the monthly bill is $6.99. So our total is $16.99. Whenever there's a total, I put it at the end. I would have written $4.99 per month and 0.0110 per, well, we already have an n, so I could write minute, or I could write $4.99 per month. It said used in a month, so I know it's 1 month plus 10 cents a minute. You could just write it like that. So I'm going to remove the $4.99 that I've spent for the month, and I have 10 cents per minute. Divide both sides by 0.10. M equals 120 minutes is what I can use. All right. We're going to make a part 2 for this one. What I want you to do at this moment is you're going to go back to your notes. Let me grab them. Your chapter 1 review. And you've already done 1 through 23. Now what I want you to do is try 24 through 48. Okay, we're gonna try those, and then I'm just gonna leave this here, and I'll slowly move this sheet up, and you can check your work. Okay, so go ahead, pause the video, work on these problems, and then come back to it. Oh, we didn't finish that one. Okay. Some of you are working ahead on this. Some of you are at home. Some of you are in class doing this. I will check with you once you have it done. All right. I'll see you at part 2.